Right now on Denver 7, the January 6th committee holds its second public hearing, why one of the in-person witnesses had to leave seconds before it started.
There is growing interest in companies paying for childcare, how that is working at the places already adding the benefit. And video games get slammed a lot for possible negative effects that they're having on kids. We're taking a look into why new research says the games could be boosting kids' intelligence.
And smoky skies over Colorado today, something we'll likely see again this summer. Why our state is expected to have bad air quality for the next few months. But we begin this afternoon with some breaking news. Multiple crashes have shut down both sides of I-25 in northern Colorado. The northbound lanes are closed between Colorado Route 66 and 119 near Longmont because of a triple fatal crash. Colorado State Patrol says that crash happened around 1:30 this afternoon and that multiple cars were involved. It's unknown how many people are injured. The southbound lanes, meanwhile, are closed about 8 miles south of that near Erie due to another separate crash. CSP says a motorcyclist crashed into a semi-truck. We don't know the status of that motorcyclist. Right now, there is no estimated time of reopening either scene. The House Select Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol held its second public hearing today. They focused on the impact of former President Trump's false claims of election fraud. The hearing included video testimony from his inner circle and in-person testimony from witnesses who investigated those fraud claims. CNN's Chris Wynn has the latest.
Day 2 of the January 6 hearings kicked off with some unexpected drama after former Trump campaign manager Bill Stepien pulled out after his wife went into labor. The Select Committee opting to present parts of his previous deposition to help illustrate testimony.
I didn't think what was happening was necessarily honest or professional at that point in time.
His testimony, as well as that of former Attorney General Bill Barr, adds to the committee's argument that then President Donald Trump was already laying the groundwork for his unfounded claim that the election was stolen before anyone had a chance to examine whether any evidence of widespread voter fraud existed.
Well, the early claims that I understood were completely bogus and silly and usually based on complete misinformation.
The committee also says Trump cast aside his legal team when they told him he lost, bringing in conspiracy-pushing advisors like former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who believed the baseless claims of election contractor Dominion voting system switching votes.
What they were proposing, I thought was nuts. And the theory was also completely nuts.
Witnesses present at the hearing included local election officials from Georgia and Pennsylvania who investigated claims of fraud.
Not only was there not evidence of 8,000 dead voters voting in Pennsylvania, there wasn't evidence of 8.
The committee using their testimony and those from Trump's inner circle to outline why he was responsible for the events of January 6.
Donald Trump lost an election and knew he lost an election, and as a result of his loss, decided to wage an attack on our democracy.
In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
3 men from Colorado are set to be arraigned this afternoon in Idaho. They were among the 31 members of a white supremacist group arrested near a pride event over the weekend. Nathan Brenner from Louisville, Forrest Rankin from Wheat Ridge, and Connor Ryan from Thornton are charged with conspiracy to riot. Police found the group packed into the back of a U-Haul with riot gear. Investigators say they wore arm patches and logos which identified them as members of Patriot Front. Patriot Front is a white nationalist hate group formed after the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. In just a few days, Denver's Five Points neighborhood will welcome more than 50,000 visitors for its annual Juneteenth Music Festival. This year's celebration comes just months after Colorado lawmakers declared Juneteenth a state holiday. Organizers say festival goers can expect traditional favorites like the parade and hundreds of local vendors. This year, the festival is introducing a new community space near 28th Street where artists can showcase their work. It will also feature several new block party areas near Welton Street.
One thing that's been kind of constricting is the amount of space that we have on Welton Street, considering the amount of people that are coming. And so those are things that we continue to work on in terms of making the festival more engaging and more interactive.
Denver 7 is a proud sponsor of the Juneteenth Music Festival. The festivities kick off with the parade this Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. Our air quality could get just as bad this summer as it did last summer. Now, you may have noticed today's smoky sky thanks to a wildfire in Arizona. It didn't affect the air quality too badly because most of the smoke stayed in the atmosphere. But the National Weather Service says the outlook for this summer isn't great. The ingredients for a bad fire season are all there, with extensive drought conditions all the way from the West Coast to Colorado.
Prevailing flow aloft is usually out of the west, is what we see here. So that set us up for a persistent transport of smoke into Colorado, which is what we saw last year.
Now, your best bet this summer is to check the air quality before you head outside, and stay inside if you can if bad air quality affects your health.
We could be getting closer to having COVID vaccines available for kids under 5. This Wednesday, Moderna and Pfizer will meet with FDA advisors who will decide whether to sign off on the shots. Now, the FDA just released an analysis of both shots, saying they appear to be safe and effective for young kids. Moderna's dose is a quarter of its adult dose, and kids only need 2 shots. Pfizer's dose is a 10th of the adult dose, and kids have to get 3 shots. Now, Pfizer's preliminary data shows that the vaccine is 80% effective in preventing symptomatic COVID-19, but that calculation was based on just 10 cases diagnosed among study participants.
We know that the antibody response was very good, and antibody responses so far seem to correlate reasonably well with protection.
Dr. Yvonne Maldonado has been involved in a trial for the Pfizer vaccine at Stanford. Moderna's data shows that young kids also developed high antibody levels from its vaccine. There were no severe cases of COVID-19 during the trial, but the vaccine was only about 40 to 50% effective at preventing milder infections.
Some parents are worried that that is too low, and I think we need to remind everyone that first, that's just for any infection. We know that protection for severe disease is usually higher than that, but also that's what protection looks like for 2 doses of these vaccines in the setting of Omicron, because the virus had changed so much.
Now, he's an infectious disease doctor at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and he says that both vaccines have been tested during the Omicron surge, and they will offer some protection against that, but also likely future subvariants. Both doctors have a message for parents who may still be on the fence about getting their child vaccinated.
I think the perception all along from the beginning of the pandemic has been that children don't get that sick. First of all, they used to say children don't get sick at all, which is absolutely, as we know, not true, or that they have mild disease and they don't infect other people. Well, all those things are false. They do get sick. They can get very sick, hospitalized.
When we talk about the need to study vaccines, it's not long enough. It's not because the side effects of the vaccines appear years down the road. It's because you usually need to vaccinate enough amount of people to detect very rare side effects to say, we know everything we know, we need to know about this vaccine. So with COVID-19 vaccination, that already happened.
The side effects of both vaccines and studies have been minimal. If the FDA advisory panel signs off on one or both vaccines, the FDA and then the CDC will make a decision on them next. The shots could be available as early as June 21st. Now, more parents are saying they need help with childcare, and more employers are now taking notice.
A lot of these companies see the benefit of helping those parents who are otherwise having to leave because there's no childcare options.
How providing childcare is working at companies already offering the benefit.
And not every public pool in Denver will be opening this summer. Why the city is keeping some of its indoor pools closed.